And there we are, just like that, the Owls Nest BBQ Show. Thursday night, 7 o'clock in the east, 6 o'clock in the middle of the country. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The show is brought to you by Michelin Tires, the Michelin Defender LTX to the Michelin MX V4. Michelin Tires have a tire for your car, truck, and SUV. Don't let your family ride on anything else. Get some Michelin Tires. Also brought to you by our newest sponsor, Green Mountain Grills. That's right, folks, they're in. 5 Daniel Boones arrived yesterday. Aaron and I put one together. We fired it up today. It worked just as advertised. They are now in stock with accessories at the Owls Nest Barbecue Supply Store. Don't forget, we are the broadcast partner for Backyard Smokers Barbecue on Facebook. Go there and check out all the neat topics that they have. And my friend Jeff Maxwell back at his house monitoring the chat room. So please join us with your questions. I'll get to them when I can. Randy, hello. Randy, my buddy Randy Barber is with us. Kevin Bevington already with us. Roddy Fitzgerald. Keith Bevington, not Kevin. Keith, the brother of Kevin. Not Kevin, Keith. But he's a good guy too. Hey, thanks for joining us. What a week. What a week. We finally got some hot weather. Hello, Dwayne Wade. We finally got some hot weather. We've got some, I'm going to call it outdoor cooking attitudes going on finally. You know, we missed Memorial Day, I think, as far as the cookout calendar went. It kind of came and went without much fanfare. And I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm pointing all my resources to July 4th. We're going to have a blowout July 4th. I'm going to make that the official welcome back to barbecue in Ooltewah, Tennessee. So that's July 4th. So look to us to be having a get together, a join up, a big kind of like a little party there at the Midnight Oil in Ooltewah on July 4th. More information about that will come in the near future. We got a great guest lined up today with me from Sucklebusters, Mr. Dan Arnold. Dan, how are you?
Awesome, Steve. How are you?
All the way from the big old state of Texas.
Yeah, bring it over to Texas. We love some barbecue in Texas.
The Dallas area is where Sucklebusters hails from, and Dan is the purveyor of such business. Dan, what is first of all, you got a great line of rubs. They're real popular at my store. Give me the history. How did you get into the rub business? Were you a cook at one time?
Yeah, can I ask you something first?
Yes.
I'm just sitting here, and all of a sudden, I'm looking at my camera and my microphone, and I have microphone envy.
What my microphone?
I love that. That is awesome.
Oh, that's
a
my
microphone like that, Steve.
Well, you just go down to the guitar shop and tell them what you want. The first thing you do, you call Greg Rempe over at the Barbecue Central store, and you say, Greg, what kind of microphone do I need? He tells you, and then you take a bunch of money down to the guitar store, and you go, and you write a note. And you go, I need one of these, and they go, ooh, and I say, I know. And,
I love me some Greg Rempe, by the way, and I love the guitar store, so that's going to work.
You got to have Greg Rempe money to get this thing.
Well, I don't have Greg Rempe.
No, who does?
Let me charge it.
Yeah, put it on your Visa. Enough about Greg Rempe. We get enough of Greg Rempe on Tuesdays to last us a month. Let's talk about Sucklebusters and Dan Arnold.
Sucklebusters, yeah.
Sucklebusters. Tell me about the history of this cool rub and sauce company.
Okay, so now I'm not going to plug Rempe too much, but he did actually help me get started a long time ago. So shout out to Greg Rempe.
I think he helped everybody He gave me my start. I think he gave everybody their start.
Yeah, way back at the Barbecue Central when he was running the forum, and that was it. You know, forums were like way out there, high tech kind of stuff, and Rempe was running his forum. I started a forum called the Texas Barbecue Forum, and he helped me get going. So hats off to Greg Rempe.
Wow.
Good guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Sucklebusters has been rolling since about 2006. It was a Plan B type deal, and then it turned into a Plan A few years ago.
Okay, hold on. The plan B is always more interesting than present day. When it was a Plan B, just like my little barbecue store here in Ooltewah, it was a Plan B at one time. What was the Plan A? What was going on with Plan A?
Yeah, so Plan A for a long time was corporate America. I was in corporate, executive sales and that kind of stuff, calling on big companies that,
What did you sell?
I sold computer software and technology. So I work for IBM, I work for SAP, Computer Associates, a couple of those high tech companies.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so
high stress, high reward, been there, done that, all that kind of stuff. Got all my t-shirts, and a couple of years ago, Plan A kind of came to the point to where we could go to Plan B. So that was awesome.
So Dan, were you a competition cook on the side? I mean, was it your hobby, or was barbecue your hobby, or backyard stuff?
Barbecue was always my hobby, even back as far as college. If you were going to go have a Sunday afternoon cookout, you were going to be at my place. So always loved barbecue. Never really was that interested in competition cooking, but just always loved great barbecue. Although we have tons of competition guys we sponsor, and in fact they help us make the products we make today and make them a lot better. We've just always been kind of right in the middle, a backyard cook and competition cook. Sucklebusters is squarely right in the middle of that group. Our competition guys give us the quality, the direction, the advice we need, and the backyard cooks are really our core market who buys a lot of our product.
Dan, I've only been into barbecue. It's about 7.5 years now.
Yeah.
And I entered it when I watched of course, I'm like everybody else. I saw it on Barbecue Pitmasters. Entered my first contest and got hooked, and then started cooking at the house. And I was a little amazed and a little sad that I had missed for all those years not being an outdoor cook, because every time when I brought it up at my gas station where I work, we talk barbecue, and somebody will say, "Oh yeah, I've been doing that for a long time," and then it's like something that everybody has in common, and that you didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the thing that when you gather around the table, you get the doctor, the attorney, the gas station guy, the medical medic guy, and the dress shop owner, and it seems the one thing that we all have together and all have in common is barbecue.
For sure. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I grew up. We were country folks, right? We were on that side of the tracks that not everybody was on, and a lot of times barbecue is just the way we cooked. That's just the way we lived, and that's the type of meat we could afford, and those are the things we ate, and frankly, those are the things we love, and we always try to kind of go back, right, and recreate those times when we grew up and had great barbecue.
Well, you see, you've got that background. I didn't have that background. My parents didn't cook out. We didn't do barbecue. I wasn't even interested in cooking steaks. I just wasn't a culinary guy. I played golf, and that was kind of my hobby. And but then when this barbecue thing started, I thought I have been missing out on something that is more fun than anything that I have ever done before or since.
Absolutely. And the fact of the matter is everybody loves great barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, everybody. There's no doors when it comes to barbecue. It's for everybody. And if you cook really great barbecue, it's always satisfying no matter who you are.
So when you were transitioning from the Ernie Els company, SAP, to the rub company, tell me what that was like. What would you do during the day at work, and then what would you do at night? Because I've heard other people talk about this, but everybody's got a different method, though.
Yes. So we designed the company so that we have certain parts of the company outsourced for example, co-packer. We have a co-packer that manufactures our products. Also have a 3PL, which is our warehouse and distribution partner. They fulfill orders for us and ship our orders for us. And so the key functions of the company that we operate are, like the R&D, the marketing, and the sales and accounting, and kind of the business functions of Sucklebusters. So to operate that, it was a lot easier to do it when I had a corporate job, because I could do barbecue at night and on the weekends, or when I, just had a few minutes on the side. And, we just built it up. I'll be honest, when I left corporate America, in my mind, I still had about, a few more years to take Sucklebusters before I was going to jump. But an opportunity came up and the doors opened. And frankly, it was a huge blessing, and just, definitely something that was divine intervention that allowed us to transition over from corporate America into Sucklebusters, and the company just took off. The barbecue business just took off, and it's been wonderful.
Well, tell me about the first the first bottle of rub that did you make it? Are you like the first generation guy, or was there a parent involved or another partner or anything?
Yeah, so I've always made my own, and I just played with recipes a lot, like most barbecue guys, right?
Yeah.
So I had a particular recipe I was really fond of, and I would keep some in the pantry. And somewhere along the way, we started calling it Sucklebusters, and that was our very first rub that we bottled.
Mm-hmm. And how did the name Sucklebusters come about? Because it's an unusual name, but it's a very friendly name.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Okay, so this is, hey, thanks, Dad. So my dad is the genesis of all this. My dad's quite a joker. He's a real kidder. He's always joking around, having a good time. So when I was a little kid, I went to the state fair in our hometown. It's called the East Texas State Fair. And when I got home that night, I think I was like 12 years old. My dad was there, and he said, "Hey, did you ride the Sucklebusters?" And I thought, "Oh my gosh, no." He goes, "Oh, don't worry about that. That they have that out back. They only let the big kids ride the Sucklebusters." And I thought, "Oh my gosh, I missed it." It only comes once a year, and I missed the best ride ever. And of course, he hadn't made he made it up.
Yeah,
he was just joking around. But the name kind of stuck around, and we kind of transitioned it to Sucklebusters back in 04 and 05, when people were saying, "Hey, what do you call yourself?" So we just blurted it out one time. It stuck. We love it. It means busting with flavor, and it's just really grown.
I guess the Sucklebusters joke was the kind of the running joke in the family forever.
Forever.
You'd ask your friends over. Have you been to the Sucklebuster ride, the Sucklebuster fair?
Right.
It's out back, that kind of thing. It's funny how those little family currents undermine everything. You said your dad's a kidder. I'm a big kidder here with my daughter, and she doesn't call it kidder though. She says I'm extremely not cool. So I'm glad you thought your dad was cool.
Well, I don't know. I'm currently the most uncool guy in the neighborhood too. So,
so what was the first one? Which flavor? What started it all off?
What's that?
What started it all off?
Oh, started all. It's called Texas Gold Dust, and it's a very southwestern Texas style rub. It has a lot of cumin and a lot of chili powder, and so it had a lot of Texas flavor. I'll just leave it at that.
And then from there it grew to. I'm looking at your pamphlet.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Which another thing is, I've never seen a pamphlet from another company. This is really cool. I mean, it's got everything. When I got it in, I sat there, and when I was putting the stock up, I just stopped a minute, and I said, "Well, I only got his four." When I called you, I said, "Give me your four top sellers."
Right.
And but I didn't realize that you had this many products. You could, gosh, you could open a store with just your stuff.
Hey, we'd love that. We'd probably get a discount for that.
I probably would. The packaging, the logo, and everything is top drawer. Tell me about the team at Sucklebusters. Who is the team as far as designing and marketing? And that's the fun side. I'm never much interested in the the recipe stuff, because I'm a lot like what Johnny Trigg said on Barbecue Pitmasters that time. He said, I don't make my own rub because there's so many rubs out there that you couldn't possibly make one better than what's already out there. So I always concentrate on the marketing part and the design and getting it out there. What is that team at Sucklebusters?
Yeah, that'd be me. That's it. No, so
Team Dan.
I spend a lot of time on marketing. It's important to me. It's, it really is everything in terms of consumer sales, because the customer walks into your store, Steve, and that's what they see, right? You have that little bitty piece of real estate, and you're trying to convey something that consumer that's important to them and is understandable by them, and something that hopefully they'll connect with. And so I spend a lot of time on marketing, and one of the things that we've always tried to do is make sure that we have a consistent brand regardless of how you connect with Sucklebusters. We want to have a repetitive message that we send our consumers, and so we spend a lot of time making sure that everything is just right.
Dan, do you taste every rub after it's been shipped, or I guess it goes through you after you've sent the order into your packager? Do you, when it comes back, do you take a sample to make sure that that's the taste that you're looking for?
Well, fortunately, we have an awesome co-packer who we had a relationship with for 12 years, and they blend our products to spec, and they know our product as well as we know our product.
Yeah.
So we don't have to stand over them. We certainly do, sample here and there, but we don't have to stand right there and watch them or check every batch, so to speak. But it's all about building the right kind of processes and putting those in place so that you do hit the quality mark every single time.
The the awards that y'all have: first place American Royal Barbecue Sauce Contest, first place Best of the Best, first place Chili Pepper Magazine Awards. Well, I want to get to that chili pepper in a minute. What are the Scovie Awards? You got a first place there.
Yeah, Scovie Awards are for the hot and spicy, what we call the pepperheads.
Okay.
Right? So they have a big contest every year out in New Mexico.
I didn't realize there were so many pepperheads out there.
Oh, it's huge. If you think about the barbecue kind of subculture, if you will, like guys like us, a whole subculture of what we call hotheads or pepperheads exists as well. And there's stores, there's products, there's people, there's conventions, contests, the whole 9 yards. It's awesome. They're great folks.
First place Fiery Foods.
Yeah.
First place National Barbecue Association, the official Best Barbecue Rubs and Sauces 2019, and Rubs of Honor and the National Barbecue News. Now those are, and just because maybe some of the people have not heard of those are. Andrew Platt has joined us. Hello, Andrew. Is our one of my chef buddies from down in Miami, Florida. These are awards that are given by people in this business. Yes. that sample things that are privy to products that a lot of people aren't even privy to. When people come in the store, Dan, they'll go, "What's the hottest thing you got?" I had no idea, and I said, "Well, I haven't tasted everything that comes in there because I've got thousands," and I said, "Well, this one's pretty hot," and they'll take that. Oh, it's nothing. You don't have anything hotter than that?
Oh, they want to burn it down.
And I said, no, I don't think I do. But I know you have the ratings in here.
Yeah.
We can do a little product knowledge. I'm just using you to get product knowledge. It looks like the BAM Habanero Sweet Heat.
That one's pretty hot.
Is that
rub? It's hot.
So it'll hurt you? Because that's what they want. They want to be hurt.
Yeah, the average guy, that's pretty strong for the average consumer. It has habanero powder in it, and it really grabs you and kind of hangs on.
I wonder why. I wonder what drives a person to want to eat food and then have to wash it down with milk and bring tears to their eyes.
Okay, well, that thing got out of control for a while. We were talking about hotheads, What happened was with the internet and Facebook and all this crazy stuff going down, they got into this routine where people would eat the hottest thing they could eat until they threw up on the screen. and it just was like all the rage, and people would sit around and watch this crazy stuff. So I think it's like it's like, hey, can I jump higher than you? Can I run faster than you? Can I eat the hotter food than you? Right, type thing. It's just
Right.
a competitive nature. But my experience is this: is that the people who really enjoy the hot foods, everyone has a different palate, and everyone has a different level of sensitivity to these hot foods. And what might be super, volcano hot to me may be fairly, nominal to somebody else. And so a lot of these people really do want the hot because they just don't experience it like other people do. They just don't taste the hot as much.
Well, there's certainly a bunch of products out there, and
Oh yeah,
I know we're carrying a couple of hot sauces, and it's just it's every week that goes by, and because I'm so new to this, it amazes me what people ask for, because before this, Dan, I just hung around with competition guys, where I got my information from competition fellas, and I found out really quick that competition recipe and cooking is very boring compared to.
Well, you don't want to offend anybody, right?
Right.
So
Compared to what's out there that is so tasty, and from what guys like you put out there in the different flavors. When you're working on a flavor, tell me, what's your thought process about like when you're going to bring a product to market, or you find a need or a gap in a certain segment that Dan Arnold says, I can fill this thing.
Right. We do it a little differently, I think, than most. And it could be because we have so many products today. We try to be, sensitive about what we're bringing to market. We always want to do something that's unique, if possible. And well, first of all, we want to make something that is awesome, right? That's number one. You can sell somebody a product once, but we want to sell them twice. We want the repeat business. So we always want to put out something awesome. We try to be unique, which is more and more difficult these days. But we don't start with, I have this product, I want to package it. Where I start is, what is the concept of what we're trying to deliver? Okay? What is it that is missing in the market space conceptually that we can bring to market? And so I usually have the name of the product, kind of the idea of the product, what niche it's going to fill, maybe the flavor profile that I'm shooting for, and then I go try to bake that recipe.
So when so when you finally get that recipe, when you add something, do you take something away from the line and plug this in, or do you just simply add to it?
Yeah, so today what we do is we remove products from the line and we replace them with new products.
Is that a cost? Is that just a cost factor because it costs so much to keep these things fresh and going?
Well, it's not so much. I guess at the end of the day, it is cost because ultimately you could carry every rub you ever made and never discontinue a product. We look at it. I don't look at it for that reason, but that is true. I look at it in terms of trying to continually improve everything that we have so that we just move them up the chain, right?
Right.
And so we group our products by what we consider success. Success is sales, right? So if customers are buying your product, that's a successful product. The top sellers, are the top sellers, and they continue to be the top sellers. Then we kind of have a middle group that are either moving up or down, right? Those are newcomers, or maybe they're older products, or for whatever reason, it's a product that has not sold as well as we hoped it would. And then there's a bottom group. The bottom group we try to replace with new products that can move up the chain again. And so we just look at it like it's a continual improvement. We always want to introduce new products to the market space, and we push, the best sellers. And the other ones we let go. Yeah.
When you're trying to market the rubs, do you turn to teams, and do you have to talk them, competition teams, because, and the reason I ask this, Dan, it seems like more and more guys and women that compete have their own products that they're selling,
Right.
and it's beginning to become. It's always been a crowded market, but I don't have to tell you how crowded it is. When you approach a team or you're trying to market this rub, what is the percentage that you go after the competition market and then you go after the backyard market? Because you know you're going to sell more to the backyard people than you are to a competition team. So
Right.
how do you balance that out, or what kind of energy do you use for each segment of the market?
Yeah. Yeah. And we love everyone, right? So we want to make sure we have products that work for everyone's taste and needs and requirements and that type of thing. We've been very fortunate to work with some of the best teams in Texas. We have a group of folks called Team Sucklebusters that is about 200 strong now. And it is a group of, it started off just competition cooks, but we've recently added different types of folks to that group for different reasons. But a lot of competition guys in Texas and names you would know. We sponsor teams. We sponsor about 50 teams worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have chefs, we have business people, we have store owners, we have friends, we have brand ambassadors, all types of folks that know and love Sucklebusters. Then what we do is we take our products through a couple of test cycles and try to come up with some candidates, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of flavor profiles, and maybe it's like product A, B, C, or something like that, or maybe it's A and B. And then we'll take those products and let Team Sucklebusters try them, even in competitions or what have you,
Yeah.
and give us feedback on those products. And then we refine the products, or we pick a winner, or we, just refine the product until it's ready to bring to market. And so from that perspective, a lot of our products are tested by competition teams way before they're ever available in the general market.
So when you sponsor a team,
Mhm.
if you've got 50 teams in the stable, what is a sponsorship entail? What do you give these people in return for their feedback and for their publicity on social media?
Yeah, so there's different levels. In some teams we sponsor, very few teams we sponsor fully.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, we will, cover all their costs for product and what have you, shipping,
Mm-hmm.
any type of marketing materials. We'll work with them very closely in terms of product testing. We may even create a product just for them, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys we work with very closely. All of our teams, we provide sample products to, we provide swag and all that good stuff. We have a program set up for them to buy heavily discounted products
Mm-hmm.
anytime they need it. And then we have other folks that are maybe kind of on the more on the brand ambassador side that we'll just give a free product to here and there, in return for some social media exposure.
And do you talk about that with them when you send them something? Say, hey, I'm going to send you something. I appreciate you trying it, and I appreciate the mention, because I was talking to a fella today in an entirely different barbecue related product line, and he has been charged by his company to go out and find social people on social media in barbecue
Yeah.
with the intent of lining them up and getting them product in return for them trying it out and talking about that product. And if I told you the name of the company, you'd recognize it. And
Yeah.
it's a pretty good sized company, not the biggest, but it's not the smallest either. But it just seems to me that when he was talking about this, it was it just showed me the importance of marketing on this alternative format that we have now. This social media internet, and I know it's to somebody my age it's different, but somebody your age younger, it's the way it's been because that's all they've known. But
It's no longer alternative. It's the primary marketing medium.
You think so? You think so?
For our industry, I would say yes.
I would agree with that. I'd agree with that because you never see commercials on national television. You don't ever see, when you're tuning into the Food Network, you don't ever see, any rub any rub people. That it seems like you're right that they're pumping this thing through social media. And how do you approach somebody? I mean, what do you tell them? I mean, what if they're they're a brand X guy and you want to get them? Do what's that process?
We take a little bit of a different approach, and a lot of these things we've done and have led the way in some respects on social media. And there's a lot of folks that lead in their own area, and we love those guys and respect them.
Mm-hmm.
But we take a different approach. I have people. I get multiple phone calls every day. I get multiple emails every single day of people wanting us to either give them free product or sponsor them or give them samples or whatever it is, right?
Right.
And that there is an approach, and it is a viable approach to let's just call it use a personality to promote your brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in social media terms, that may be someone who has a lot of followers on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. That the more people that follow them, the more you want to get your product in front of
them.
them.
The more exposure, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a financial type advertising strategy around that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this guy's got 100,000 followers, and I'm willing to spend X to either get him to do a commercial or do a product or whatever it is, right? Or pay me. And you can do that. We don't approach it that way. What we do is this, and it's worked really well for us. We let the brand, we go to market with the brand, and then we try to surround ourselves with people that love the brand and would use it regardless as if we were giving them free product or friends with them or whatever it is. In other words, our number one requirement is that I already know that you love the brand because you've been using it for a long time. And I likely know that either you're buying it from my dealer, from your store, you would know, right? About what, or maybe you bought it directly from us, or however, we would have a relationship because of that. We would already have that customer and manufacturer relationship. And then we want to kind of take it to the next level, and maybe we just want to, provide some free products for you and help you build your internet presence or help you build your social media presence. At the same time, we're getting, coverage on our brand, and that's the way we approach it. So it's a kind of a little bit of a different approach, but I think what's happening is the internet and the social media platforms, they are just getting way overhyped because everybody's rushing in and creating ads and doing all this crazy stuff. So we kind of want people to love us first and love our brand for who it is. And then we want to talk about maybe having a next level relationship.
I'm kind of on the ground level of marketing. And when people come in the store, I've always been a person that observes what the customer will look at first, what they gravitate to. There's a certain customer that comes in and they gravitate towards the name, and they're looking for a well-known name. And then there's a customer that comes in and several of them. So, you've got Sucklebusters, and it's not associated. They weren't associating it with, the next word out of the mouth was not, I saw this guy use it. It was, this stuff is good. I've seen this before. I've used this before. Yeah. And it seems to be a brand that stands on its own without the celebrity connection to it. And I know a lot of well-known barbecue cookers use it, but it seems to be a brand that you've just doing exactly what you've said, is the brand has become almost bigger than any individual that uses it. And then there's a two-way street there where you can get somebody, like if I wanted more people to watch me, I would say I use Sucklebusters. I would use you to draw name recognition to me, kind of in a reverse thing. Like, if he uses that, that must be a great, not that, nobody's going to use anything I tell them to, but you see what I'm saying though?
For sure.
It's an amazing mix of marketing that goes on in this social media platform, because I see people on YouTube, And there's there's a whole quail's nest of these guys, and some of the products I've never heard of. Some of them, of course, I've heard of, but everybody has got everybody seems like they've got a scheme going on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of folks running around now that don't have any products. They just have their name on somebody else's jar.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, it's a little different. And I think it's because of where we started. I started 30 years ago making barbecue because that's what I ate. And I had this recipe that my family enjoyed eating. And it's just a great recipe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything I do is mine. It's my recipe. I made it. Team Sucklebusters help us make it better. And then for me, it's a point of pride that it's mine. It's not someone else's recipe with my label on it. It's Dan Arnold's recipe that my friends helped me develop, and they all love it. And that's just where it starts, and it grows from there. And so we've had some great ones. We've had some that didn't perform as well as others, and that's been awesome too because we learned, right? And some things like we were talking about earlier, we either discontinued or moved around or did something different with. But the great ones, kind of rise to the top, and it makes us even prouder, right? When they're successful.
Down in your area of the country, you're coming off of a phenomenon that's been going on 3 or 4 years, and it culminated last week when Aaron Franklin was named a Barbecue Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the Texas brisket. Yeah. And I know certainly Aaron Franklin didn't invent the Texas brisket, but he sure did market the Texas brisket better than anybody else. Tell us, is your company, I don't want to say under pressure, but I will for lack of a better phrase, do you feel any pressure to come up with a rub that personifies that Texas flavor that everybody's looking for, and especially the color and the whole hard, the hard crust and the length of cooking and the brown paper wrapper and the whole aura that surrounds Texas brisket? Because I'm going to tell you something, Dan. When you tell somebody you're cooking brisket, they go, oh, okay. And then, but you say, hey, I got a Texas brisket. Then all of a sudden they go, oh, really? You got a Texas brisket? Yeah. And everybody's interested in that, and they still are.
Yeah. So 1836 is our go-to rub for Texas brisket, and it has that, that whole definition of what Texas is in the bottle. And the thing that we were reaching for with 1836 is a little bit even further past kind of this current craze on Texas brisket. But we were trying to reach back into the history of Texas, which is when the state was declared independence was in 1836. So what we wanted to do was create a rub that personified what someone might be using back in those days, right? Mm-hmm. And that would mean something very simple. No crazy ingredients because they just weren't available at the time, right? So salt, pepper, garlic, and fresh ingredients, and it would definitely be used on beef. And so our brand of Texas brisket, if you will, is 1836.
So did you, is that a newer item that you've added, or has it always been around?
It's a few years old, and it came from a lot of different places. It came from, we had a rub that was super successful. In fact, it's our number one seller. It's called SPG. Mm-hmm. And it's salt, pepper, garlic, and that started a whole craze on its own. But SPG I had forever, but I didn't develop it because I thought it was too simplistic. And I thought, well, everybody, can mix their own SPG. But it turns out they love ours. Our recipe happens to be phenomenal. That's one of the reasons it's successful. But we had the SPG, and it was just going crazy. It was really doing well. And I wanted to reach a little further over into the kind of the tradition of Texas with the cracked black pepper, and that's when we hit on 1836.
So you were reacting to that brisket phenomenon market.
It's kind of a yes in certain ways. Yeah, I think so. The whole idea of this cracked black pepper and this thing about Aaron Franklin and Central Texas brisket. and competition brisket, and where the flavor profile of that style of cooking went back to was 1836, in my opinion, right? It's a very simplistic thing. It's salt, pepper, garlic, maybe. And 1836 was running along those lines. And, Aaron, frankly, back, 6, 8 years ago, you really couldn't find great barbecue in Dallas, Texas, which is a little bit interesting. Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, this phenomenon has just bubbled up in the last 6 to 8 years. And now there's awesome barbecue restaurants, all over the place in Dallas, Texas. But way back when, you get chain barbecue, and then you had your guys that cooked at home like us. We knew what great barbecue was, but it wasn't something you'd find in a restaurant in Dallas, Texas, 10 years ago.
You've got so many different products, especially for pork. And I know pork's not I shouldn't say, I'm just speculating that pork is not as big as beef in Texas. Is that a fair statement?
In general, it is, but I grew up in East Texas, and we had pork ribs. That was one of my favorite meals.
Okay,
was pork ribs.
I always thought, I always hear Texas is when you say Texas barbecue, it's beef. Here in Tennessee, it's pork.
Yeah.
Georgia, it's pork.
Yeah.
And the flavor profiles that you have. Keith Bevington was just on here, and he said that holler. What's yeah, he said that's his favorite. That's his favorint. And
yeah, so Hogwaller is kind of a Kansas City style, if you will, like a KCBS style rub. It has a lot of complicated flavors in there, but it has a lot of sweet for sure.
Yeah. What I'm sure. Let's compare and contrast. And I always like to use Harry Sue on one side and say like somebody cooking in their backyard. On the one side you've got a salt pepper guy on the right hand side, and then on the left hand side you've got your Harry Sue's, who is salt, pepper, garlic plus 37 other flavors that are in the cupboard that happen to be in that day. What are some of the products that you have that fall on the simple side, and then what are some of the more complex rubs that y'all have?
Yeah, so SPG, salt, pepper, garlic, is our base rub for everything. And you can put it on any type of meat, any kind of vegetable, whatever you're cooking. So SPG we usually go to as our base layer, our base flavor profile, if you will. And then, I use usually on a brisket, I'll usually go SPG. Well, I always go SPG. Well, we'll put a binder on. I like to use Worcestershire as a binder. And then I'll put on a pretty good layer of SPG, salt, pepper, garlic, which is garlicky and salty. If I'm going traditional, I'll usually roll it with 1836, which is the heavy cracked black pepper.
Yeah.
If I want to go more kind of mainstream barbecue-y, if you will, I'll try to go with something like our Texas brisket rub, which is more kind of like a paprika garlic flavor, and head that direction. Or if I want to go with something that's kind of spicy and barbecue-y, we have a rub called Hoochie Mama that's really good. It has a little bit of celery in there, and so it does really nicely on briskets. And then I hate to say this, but in Texas nowadays, or when I cook in the backyard, I like to have just a little bit of sweet. And so we have a new rub called Sugar Daddy, and I'll throw a little bit of Sugar Daddy on top. And so we'll hit 3 layers of flavor profile when we cook. Yeah.
That sweet profile on brisket is very common in KCBS contests. I know that our sauce on our brisket on our burnt ends is a very sweet sauce.
Yeah,
and
can't get it sweet enough.
On guys that can cook, it scores well. And guys like me that they go, good try. So
sweet is king, and like Sugar Daddy. It came from competition. Jack Cashman is one of our sponsored teams, and I was working with him on this. Sugar Daddy was originally a finishing dust for ribs and chicken, and we had Jack testing this thing out. And all of a sudden, he started doing better with ribs and chicken. And so we would take the sugar daddy that we sell, and he would grind it in a grinder and use that as kind of his finishing dust. And so, that's where that rub came from. It was a sweet finishing dust. And let me tell you something, it is sweet. It's so sweet. We call it the sweetest rub in Texas, but it's the sweetest rub in the world.
Yeah, well, there's a school thought out there that barbecue judges are old and their taste buds are more dead than younger people. And of course, the first rule of barbecue was explained to me that the last thing you put on the meat is the first thing the judge tastes. So if you get an old judge with dead taste buds and you finish it off with something sweet, you're going to hit it exactly where he can taste it and go, hey, that's pretty good. I'll give you a 9.
Yeah. So our comp team, Karma-Q Barbecue, is a charitable barbecue team that we sponsor. And we took 3rd place in Houston this year in ribs with Sugar Daddy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So the sweet stuff seems to go to ribs really good.
For sure. Yeah.
Let's shift gears if you got a second. Let's go to barbecue sauces. We were talking earlier during our Skype practice, that I couldn't believe how popular barbecue sauce were. People come in the store. I didn't have many, and I've got a ton now because people they want them, and they want something different. They want more than what the grocery store has to offer. And you've got one down here that was given to me by a friend one time, Doug Scheiding. I don't know if you know Doug or not.
Oh yeah, Road Cooker.
Road Cooker. He sent me.
He's on Team Sucklebusters.
Yeah. He sent me a jar of your honey barbecue glaze finishing sauce one time, and I'd never heard of a finishing glaze. We just sauced them and turned them in. And the first time I used this in a little contest we have down in Chickamauga, Georgia, we won. And it's not a big deal, but we won, and it was because of the taste and the finish that stuff put on those ribs. And I've still got this in my garage, and I'm going to get it and put it in the store. But it is such a unique product. And tell me where that came from, because it's not sauce, it's a honey barbecue glaze, and what makes a difference between a finishing sauce and, say, a barbecue sauce?
Yeah. So it's just pure genius, isn't it?
You must have made it.
I'm laughing at myself because it's not that at all. It's just the reality behind our sauces is that's the way I grew up eating sauce. There's a barbecue joint in East Texas called the Country Tavern, and they use thin vinegary sauces, and I love their stuff. And I just love their sauce. And so when I made my sauce, I made mine sort of thin and vinegary, which is a little different, right? Because a lot of people think, especially the big brands, right? There is a perception that if it's thick, it's more valuable. It's better.
It's gloppy.
But I wasn't going for that, okay? I was going for, this is what I like to eat, and this is what tastes good to me. And for me, the sauce needs to be sweet, but it needs to be tangy, okay? And then if you have that rib that's cooked perfectly and barbecued over oak, hickory, or some really nice smoked wood flavor in your ribs, they're naturally sweet. And then you have that tangy sauce that hits it. That's the yin and the yang of barbecue. That's what makes it taste so good, is those two contrasting flavors. And so our barbecue sauce is sweet and tangy, and just a little bit spicy. And then for our competition guys, what we wanted to do is we wanted to make just add the third dynamics, which is visual, is that nice, pretty sheen, that shiny color that you get as a finishing glaze. That's why we call it a glaze. And one of my good buddies, Jeff White with Redneck Cookers, he goes, this really isn't a sauce. It's more of kind of a finishing glaze. And I was like, you know what, Jeff, I think you're right. And so we called it a finishing glaze. It's thin, and so it'll hit the ribs and the chicken, and it'll kind of spread out really nice.
Yep.
And it'll just set. And then
it's like varnishing your ribs.
You got it. The honey in there will just shine over and make the ribs very nice and shiny, and of course bring out that nice red flavor. We have some special bright red paprika that we use, and just so that's how we got to what we got, and our Team Sucklebusters guys helped us get there. So yeah, so that's the story of the sauces. It could have been marketing genius that got us there, but it was like, that's just the way we liked it, and so that's what we made.
Dan, I see more people coming in. They're getting the consumer is so smart now because of all the different places they can go to garner information. They'll ask they always ask, what's your favorite? And, it's like asking who's your favorite child?
Yeah. You got a whole story of your favorites, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
Bring them in unless you like them.
And I'll tell them, like, this is what I've used and other people have used this. And then they'll say, well, what gives, especially with the ribs, they'll say, what gives it that color that I see? And that's what they're striving for. They want that thing to look like a penny, because they've cooked ribs before, and the only thing they're getting is that charred, old black looking, rib that tastes good, but it's not appealing to the eye. Yeah. And they're looking for they're trying to the backyard person is trying to up their game now. Yeah. They're seeing pictures and they want their food to look like those pictures. Right. And the products that are out there, like the glaze that you sell. And all they got to do is get a little information, and they're striving for that look that that I want it to look like Malcolm Reed's. I want it to look like I saw in his video, that shiny, looks like a copper penny. Yeah. We want it to look like that.
Yeah, and they, frankly, today it's a little easier to barbecue with the pellet grills and that type of thing, and all the products that are out there. Your backyard guy, they can do some research and practice up a little bit and get it going fairly quickly.
Oh, absolutely. The learning curve is a whole lot less. Well, it's a lot less than 7 years since I've been in it.
Yeah, and, they can put out really good barbecue quickly, right? And that's awesome for the industry.
So what is the future for Sucklebusters? Have you got any other products in mind, expanding on the product line, or maybe introducing a different type of product other than rubs and sauces? With anything else coming out?
Well, we're going to stick to doing what we do best, and that's barbecue. So everything we do is barbecue centric. We have an area on our website called Area 51. Area 51 is a place you can't go, right? But on the website, if you know about it, you can sneak in there and take a peek at what's coming. I've got a Jamaican jerk marinade out there right now. We've got a couple other things. So after we test new products with Team Sucklebusters, we will add them to Area 51 so our customers can try them out. And what we do is we wait to see what's successful a lot of times, or we'll get more feedback and make adjustments or whatever. But Area 51 is a good place to go check out if you're looking for something new. I think I have my family taco seasoning out there right now. I got the Area 51 jerk marinade out there right now, and I think there's one other one that we're working on. So those are kind of products that are bubbling around. But in terms of the business and what we're doing with the business, we have a lot of product. We're always trying to make them better. One of the things that we're working on right now is kind of sharing what we do best as a company with some of our, close friends here in Texas. And we're coming up with a new program called the Texas Pitmaster Series. In fact, I've got one here we just released this week. This one is called Tailgater's Party Rub. And so we're working with some of the best pitmasters in the state of Texas to help them bring their rubs to market. A lot of these guys have, like you or me, they have Plan A working. Plan B is their barbecue deal. And so we help them with Plan B. We'll produce the products, we'll take their recipes, get it made for them. We'll get packaging done for them. We'll do marketing and distribution for them and help them get a start on Plan B. So that's one of the things that's new for Sucklebusters. One of the things we're working on. It's pretty exciting.
That's a tremendous service, because everybody has the want to, but they don't
Right.
have the know-how.
Yeah,
And
that's right. Yeah. And we've been there, done that. We've got a lot of skinned knees and, bruised arms from doing it. And it's like, hey, these are lessons we learned. We can fast track you through and get you a good product to market that's well positioned to be successful. We have over 1,000 dealers, so we can help them even penetrate the market and sell.
yeah, well, Dan, y'all do it. Your company does a great job. It's a well-run organization. When you call an order,
Thank you.
it's seamless. It's very professional, and for a small guy like me to give the attention that you gave me when I know that there are big boxes behind me ordering 100 times what I order. I appreciate that attention. I appreciate the product information, and I really appreciate you being with us tonight. And I'm going to scoot you an email tomorrow and order some more product and get some more of those sauces in, and I'm going to get that glaze in for everybody. And everybody listening, spread the word, because we got a lot of people from Ottawa listening tonight. That glaze finish is really something, and we'll be stocking that soon. So Dan Arnold, thank you so much. Good luck to you, and man, many more years of success. And thanks for what you've done for me, and I hope I can return the favor.
Steve, thanks. I'd just like to say, man, we love you guys. Dealers, this is the core of our business. This is what 80% of our business does, is work with guys like you. And so we wake up every day and we try to figure out, hey, how can we take good care of Steve? So we appreciate your business. Our customers are awesome. They do so much for us that they don't even realize, when they buy our products.
Mm-hmm.
They're helping a small business and many more small
Absolutely.
businesses that we do business with. I mean, we really try to do business with companies like us. And so at this point in time, it's really the heartbeat of America are these small companies. And we'd love to be a part of that. And our customers are part of that. You're a part of that. Everybody out there listening, thank you. We appreciate your business. And if there's anything that Sucklebusters can do for you, you call us and we'll take good care of you guys.
Dan, thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
Thanks, Steve.
We'll do it again.
All right, sounds good.
You betcha. Dan Arnold from Sucklebusters from down in the Dallas, Texas area. Appreciate Dan being with us. Just a fantastic guy. Fantastic products. One of the good one of the better companies that we deal with on a daily basis at the Owls Nest barbecue store. I dropped. No, I didn't. Here it is right here. Hey, thanks for watching. Serious talk. These are tough times. I know. You've been out of work. A lot of you guys in the restaurant business, just getting back started. We've got a restaurant here. Let me just real quick story. We got a restaurant here in our area called Wally's. It's in a little town called East Ridge. It's a I-75 interstate town. It's been there. The company, the name Wally's is synonymous with Chattanooga. It's been forever. They were always had one of the best buffets in town, and they, of course, they had to close down during the situation we had, and they're reopening, and they're dropping the buffet, and they're going with the service side, more of a meat and three type of restaurant. When these restaurants open, they're going to be different. There was a fellow, Nick Solaris, this guy in New York. I was listening to an interview with him several weeks ago with Greg Rempe on the Barbecue Central show. Then he said, when this thing on the other side, this is when it first started. He said, on the other side of this thing, dining as we know it out is going to be different. And I thought he's a smart guy, and I thought, boy, he probably knows what he's talking about. But I thought of that this morning when I read that in the paper, that this company that has been synonymous with one of the better buffet lines in Chattanooga for years, and I'm talking 30, 40 years, are dropping that from their the way they do business. They're going to just a sit down meat and three, and it'll be great. I mean, don't think they're going to lose customers because their food is fantastic. But what I want to say is when you go into your favorite restaurant, I've been to a couple. We don't eat out a whole lot, but a lot of people do. In the restaurants that I've been to since they started opening, they are different. They're maybe not as enthusiastic because they're thinking of things that we have no idea the problems that these guys are thinking of. They've got staffing problems right now. They're competing. Can you imagine competing with the federal government trying to find an employee when the federal government is giving money away and you're trying to get somebody to work? That's the biggest problem. You're competing with the federal government that's giving them money to stay home, and that's a whole dynamic that I don't see how they can compete with that. So your favorite restaurant is going to be different when it opens if it hasn't already opened. You can already tell it's different, and the service might be a little slower. Food might be different, but give them the benefit of a doubt and go back there. Don't be so quick to criticize. It seems like there's a group of us that go to a restaurant and we can't wait to criticize instead of praise. We'll have a great meal and the apple pie wasn't perfect. We'd rather talk about the imperfect apple pie than we would the great burger or the great steak we just had. So cut them some slack and embrace their newness. If they've got a new way of doing things, embrace it. Understand what they're up against. And this goes for restaurants. It goes for all businesses, because it's unfortunately it's not going to be the same. And I hate it. I hate it with a passion. I wish it would stay the same, but to think that is you'd be foolish to think that this thing that it's going to be the same as it was on February the 28th. So cut your restaurant some slack, give them some praise, pat them on the back, give them an attaboy, and tell them good job. We'll be back, and because they need you. They need you now more than ever. Thanks, Dan Arnold, Sucklebusters, for being on the show. Next week we're going to be talking charcoal, and we'll have the rep from B&B Charcoal on with us next week. So if you're one of those guys, it's a whole segment of you people out there that love to talk charcoal. You know the difference. I personally, one done from the other, I can't tell. And people say, Steve, you're stupid. There's a big difference, and let me explain it to you. Well, the guy we got coming up next week with B&B Charcoal, he is going to explain it to you, and he's going to explain it to me, and he's going to make me a believer in good charcoal. So until then, everybody, take care, good night, and for sure, good luck.